medias. Now, when I say play radio, I don't really mean play. We're just pre-recording some stuff here that's going to run on the radio. Matter of fact, Tuesday night, 6 o'clock. You can catch it on the iHeartRadio app. Just search WFLA Orlando. But this is kind of a behind the scenes. We record, we chit-chat. Sometimes we should record what we chit-chat, and it's a true story. Sometimes our phones go off when we're talking. We just go ahead and click that off. Everyone's phone's off?
Yes.
Okay, you sure? There she got a look. All right, so I'm going to zip out of this party, and we're going to start the show. Doesn't that sound fun? It does sound fun.
It always sounds fun.
Let's see what we got. All right, stand by, everybody. There we go. Tape is rolling. Come on, Bubba.
So how do you make...
Yeah, why does he always talk when I made that? I know, right? Okay, here we go.
Your team is the same
Another
time
one.
training.
Great. I don't like that song. All right, I'm looking for something here, and I can't find it. My kids, my friends, my people. Nope. What happened to all my good stuff? Someone stole it. All right, let's rock instead. Wow, we're jamming today. It's time now for What's Your Next Move? And the reason that what the hell? Now two things are running at once. I hate you. Not
so
you.
We need to start off.
Yeah, we haven't even started yet. I mean, we're just farting around apparently. Getting it all out, making her feel comfortable. I think that's a good thing. Yeah. See, this is what happens behind the scenes, kiddos. Exactly. All of a sudden, the music I have lined up just poof disappeared, which is cool. All right. We got this. All right, here we go. Oh, that's better. There we go. Hey, it's time now for What's Your Next Move? And it's going to be a great show. You know that we have a couple thousand people moving to Central Florida every week? Yeah, and they need a place to stay. And also, if you're thinking of buying or selling your home or you're looking into some real estate investments, this is a place you need to be. Let's go ahead and hand it over to Neil Lavelle and Tanya Rivers.
Hey.
What's up?
How are you guys out there in Orlando?
We're great, Neil. Thanks for asking.
Listen. You know, this here at What's Your Next Move is we're always on target, looking to create the balance and be the bridge for you guys out there. And again, we want to make sure that you guys are up to date on what's going on out there, and then we want to bring some value to you today. And we got a real great show lined up for you. And we really want to talk about today is that probate, you know, when there's death in the family, because people don't really like to talk about these things, but there's a lot of upside to those that when they're crossing over in these situations, Tanya, that they really need to know what they need to do. And like, you know, it's unfortunate. I've been through it. When my mom passed, you know, and it's tough. But, you know, when you're going through it without a plan, Tarisha, it's hard. So today we're going to talk about that. We're going to get that going. And we're also going to talk about, you know, what the market is doing and, you know, what that market update looks like. So, Tanya, what's going on out here?
Hello. Welcome, everyone, to What's Your Next Move. And as you know, Neil and I are always going to bring you what's real in the real estate market. And right now, guys, let's just talk about Central Florida as a whole. Central Florida, as Melissa said, folks are still moving here. I'm Florida's #1 relocation realtor, and I can tell you right now, it's not stopping in Central Florida. People are moving here. They're super excited, moving in from the west area, moving in from the northeast area. They're really looking to take advantage of still some of the competitive pricing, Neil. People think that the overall market is kind of stale right now. You look at inventory in different states and thinking, wow, you know, I'm going to hold on to my home. I had an interest rate that was really good last year. Now they're, you know, edging 7%. I don't know what I really want to do right now. But those folks that are moving to Florida, they're saying, hey, I can still get a home, roughly $419,000, 4-bedroom, 2-3-bath with a pool, and I'm still making good progress. I'm going to get the lifestyle for the same money, even if I am paying a little bit higher for interest rate. Because look, these guys aren't afraid. They know it's an investment, right? Real estate is an investment. They know they can always refinance. They can take advantage of some of the amazing programs that are available in a lot of the counties here in Florida. And that's what folks are doing, Neil. Despite the high, mortgage rates, the market remains competitive here. Inventory, like I said, can go up and down the supply. A couple of months of inventory, but you have new construction deals out there right now with a whole lot of incentives, and people are really moving. They're still
Yeah, but you know
excited
what I
about the
saw
market
too,
here in Florida.
Tanya? I was looking last night, and one of the things that I do is I kind of stay close to my farm markets, and one of them is Metro West. And I
Mhm.
still see that there's such a low inventory of homes out there. And it's really
Yes.
important that we know that, yes, you buyers out there, you do have an opportunity to negotiate. But the
Mhm.
market here in Central Florida, because our price points, people are still moving here because of our
Mhm.
lifestyle.
Right.
Our market values are still going up, and people are still competing for homes. It's not, as flat as people say, and now everybody's waiting for the market to fail. But here in Central Florida, we have not failed at all. Our numbers have not come down at all. I mean, we have slowed down. The trajectory has slowed down, but our price points are still growing. And,
Well,
and
come on, that's with anywhere from 2022. I mean, everything's not going to look like 2022. Everyone's like,
yeah, that's
oh, when
true.
are the 2.5%, 3%, 3.5% interest
But you
coming
would
back?
think
We
though,
can't tell.
with higher interest rates, the prices and then it would slow down a little bit. But I'm thinking the other way around now that I'm really when you look at the stats and you look at the numbers, no one has flinched. So that's a great thing. That's why I'm saying to you guys out there listening, the time is now if you really want to continue to buy. And I still think that, Tanya.
Well, no, you're going to have those folks that are going to feel uncertain, right? They're like, what is
Right,
going to
that's
happen
true.
with inflation? What, are we heading for a recession? Fear of this and fear of that. But guess what? If you're looking for a home and you have that affordability factor, you put in your plan together, you're working with a professional real estate agent, right? A professional person that's in this market with boots on the ground. They're going to lead you to still the good deals. They're going to lead you to the homes that are there. They're not just Googling. They're boots on the ground, Neil. They're
No,
going to
no, that's
find the
where we
perfect
come in.
area for
That's
you.
where we come in. So if you guys
Exactly.
need a good realtor and you're thinking about buying or selling, then you call Neil Lavelle or Tanya Rivers. So Neil Lavelle, I can be reached at 407-466-1529. Again, Neil Lavelle at 407-466-1529. Call us so that we can advise you on what's your next move. Tanya, give them your
Right.
information.
Oh, absolutely. You can reach us on what's your next move.live, guys. You can chat us, send us email messages, give us a phone call. What we really want to help you guys understand is this market, if you look throughout the US, come on, it's region specific. And that's what everybody has to look at. If you're in your particular area and it's not growing or it's low inventory and you might be in a different state, you kind of got to keep your eyes open for that. And that's where partnerships and relationships come out, you know, together to keep you poised in the right direction. When the Central Florida, we're looking at our region, right? And so you look at us, and the Northeast is rising the last couple of months. You got the Midwest is falling flat. They're falling with their home sales in the last couple of months, and Central Florida is stable. We are we
Well,
are
that's
we are
true.
riding it out. We're not high, we're not low. We're kind of at that sweet spot where activity is still rather strong. We're still getting multiple offers on homes. Sellers are still getting the prices that they want.
Yep.
Yeah, you can negotiate seller concessions. People have to relocate, so they might be willing to, do some different things. You can still buy down points, work with your lenders, all that good stuff. But the bottom line is we're still strong here in Florida.
No, we definitely are really strong here, and the market is continuing to grow. And one of the things that you really said that our models here is we're going to bring you guys out here our relationships. We're going to bring my 28 years of experience and Tanya's 10 to 15
Right.
years of experience. So we've gone through a lot of the things that you guys are experiencing out there, and I've seen the different upturns and downturns in the market. And I'm telling you guys out there, we're in a real good market and a real good space to buy. And I really do think as the programs, and next week we're going to be talking about, we have some different lenders that are going to be coming. We have Tramisha here today, and we're going to be talking about, the things that you guys need to hear. The relationships are so important that we have and that we want to bring to you so that you have that experience, guys. So if you really, today we're going to be talking about probate. We're going to be talking about with death in the family. One of the things I always say, Tanya, is that when there's death in the family, it changes the dynamics. And why?
Right.
Because money gets involved.
Right. And you'll see some of those homes on the market too, Neil.
Yeah,
Like
you
we talk
do.
about foreclosures and short sales.
Yeah.
Sometimes during death and divorce, you find out sometimes they just want to get get the property off their hands. And you can find really good deals in that same way, good homes that are not necessarily, falling apart. They just need to move on through the process, right? Start their healing from divorce, split the assets, or you might find yourself in a situation where you inherited a home, right? And you're like, there's taxes that may be due on it, but you're like, let's just list it, get it going. You don't have to do probate if you own it. So there's deals, Neil. There are deals out there through death, and divorce. It's still possibilities out there if you keep your eyes and ears open and you're working with the right folks.
Well, that's great, and that's true. But because of the market being the way it is, I still I'm still seeing that people are holding out. They want to, instead of negotiating, especially if they're a seller in their home. Well, if their home is priced right, again,
Right.
I ultimately think you're going to get the number. But at the same time, too, there are some sellers and some families that are like, no, I'm not selling just because the house and the roof is falling down. I'm still want top dollar. But
Exactly. So you still have those perpetually high home prices where they're like, I want to get
crazy.
top of the line. They're going online, doing Google searches and Zillow, Zestimates and all this stuff. Hey, I can get $1 million from a house. They're not doing real numbers, Neil. They're not doing real comps. They're not working with anyone. And they're just sitting there riding it out. Their home is listed 80, 90 days. And they wonder what's happening. If you are a, for sale by owner, come on, connect. If you don't know what you're doing, this is not 2022. Connect with a professional so we can list it properly, get the right amount for you that balances out the high interest rates, right? Before,
that's
people
true.
weren't really concerned. But 7% interest rate, that puts you into a different financial bracket for your family, and you might have to adjust accordingly.
Listen, here at What's Your Next Move, this is the objective. We got Tamisha that's coming on, and we're going to be giving you guys some real helpful value in the next segment. So just stay tuned. We're with you.
Like the man said, this is What's Your Next Move on News Radio WFLA, Orlando. I know y'all heard me post that shit, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, let me just clean this up a little bit here. I got to find where I actually started the show.
What's your last name again?
Smiley.
Smiley.
Oh, isn't that pretty?
Not like Ricky Smiley.
I think he's a distant cousin. When I go to
Really?
Birmingham, I get upgrades of things just because of the name. It's
Wow.
probably need to link up and chop it up, but I appreciate him. My rental car always gets upgraded.
Oh, that's funny.
Mm-hmm. Just stay in there. See, I have to edit all this crap, you social media fiends, because I couldn't get the beginning of the show right. Let's check it real quick here, make sure it's right. Push that button.
Melissa, you're the best.
Nope. Were you talking at the same time, or was that on the tape?
No, I'm not sure, but I
Okay.
just said you're the best.
Shh. All right, then. I gotta fix that. All right, then.
You're not smiling today.
Yeah, she is. All right, here we go. One more time. Let's see what happens.
A little bit.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Now I gotta clean this.
Delayed reaction.
Oh, okay.
Oh, man. Okay, let me just clean. Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, one more minute. Here, not really. Like 2 seconds.
Stay tuned. We're with you.
Like the man said, this is What's Your Next Move on News Radio WFLA, Orlando. I did hit that hard, man. What? That's my old music radio days. All right, let's rock. Let's do the second one here. Got a little bit better
right.
music. Tanya, you okay? Neil's afraid you're not smiling or happy.
I am super happy. I'm excited about introducing our next guest for
So
sure.
go ahead.
Yeah, it should be good. All right, well, let's start you know the deal. All right, let's see. I'm going to push this button here, this button here. Y'all stand by. I'm going to push that button there. That's how we do, folks.
Tramisha, which one do you prefer?
Tramisha.
Got it.
All right, here we go. Tranisha.
Tramisha.
Yeah, that's the name of our next guest. Welcome back to What's Your Next Move. Seriously, if you don't know it, you really need to tune into this show. Let's get back to the studio. We got a special guest in there, Tranisha Smiley.
Yeah.
Here's our host, Tanya Rivers, Neil Lavelle.
All right, thank you so much, Melissa. We are super excited to have our next guest here. We get questions all the time, and it's nothing like having the probate pro for Central Florida here. Tramisha Smiley, welcome to What's Your Next Move.
Thank
We're
you.
happy to have you. We're just going to dive right in. Look, let's talk some basics real quick for those people who are listening, because it's a fancy name for owning something that you don't own, right? So probate real estate. What is probate real estate in layman's terms? Is it real estate property that belongs to a deceased person, or is there just a better name for transferring ownership? Tramisha, you are the pro. What does it really mean in layman's terms?
Well, essentially, if there is probate real estate, that means that there's a property that is still titled to a deceased individual or individuals, and the probate process is needed to transfer ownership from the decedent to the heirs or beneficiaries, depending on the situation, whether it's intestate or testate.
So what does that
Okay.
really like mean in English? Like, so if somebody dies in my family, and what do I do first? What's the first step? I mean, calling us, of course, but and now you, Tramisha. So what's the first step? Like, what do we do?
Yep. Once everything settles down, after the funeral, after some individuals have gone home or whatever the case is, it is important to contact a professional.
Okay.
And there are two types of probate in the state of Florida. There's
Okay.
a summary administration and a formal administration.
What's the difference?
So the summary administration is a little more abbreviated.
Okay.
It's typically if the decedent has been passed away for 2 years or more, or if the value of the estate is under $75,000. There are some cases to where that may be true, but you still may want to do a formal, and that's why it's important to reach out to a professional, to an attorney. A summary administration does not require an attorney, but a lot of times we find that individuals
an
want want to be walked through it. A formal, absolutely, by Florida law, requires you to have an attorney.
Okay. So what does a formal administration mean?
Well, essentially, typically it's the value of the estate is over 75, or maybe there's a case where a personal representative is needed. One of the biggest differences between those two types of probate is that a summary administration does not appoint a personal representative for the estate. So
Who
no
does?
one person has the authority to act on behalf of the estate. Whereas a formal administration, that's the process to where a court will actually appoint someone, whether that be a family member or a professional fiduciary, to be the personal representative for the estate, so they can sell property and have the authority to do things of that.
Yeah, because
Right, because that's the person that the court supervised process, right, where they're reviewing the
Yep.
deceased total assets and they're making sure it gets properly distributed, right, to the
Correct.
rightful heirs. So that process can be lengthy because, come on, you see those ads out all the time where it's a property, they think it's abandoned, or they find out, they get the letters, they go down to the court and they see that the property belongs to someone deceased, and then you say buy your house in 7 days. Well, how tricky can that stuff be, Tramisha? I mean, honestly, because you hear about all these scams and things like that when you don't really know, and someone's offering to buy the house for cash, but it might have multiple people that, are their heirs to that property, right? How dangerous could that possibly be?
The probate process does have a bad connotation, but it does not have to be that way. For example,
Okay.
I specialize in probate, so I know, and also the entire state of Florida. So I practice the entire state, whether it's a property in Duval or even down to Miami-Dade.
Okay.
When you are with someone who knows exactly what they're doing, the process does not have to be painful at all. However, the probate process is not known for its speed either. So
No,
if
that's
you have
fine.
someone saying, "Hey, we can do this in 7 days," no,
Doesn't exist.
yeah, it
Red
doesn't.
flags.
Very, very special
Yeah, but
circumstances.
family and money just don't agree. So, and everybody just wants, as dad dies or mom dies or Uncle Joe dies or anybody in the family dies, they just want the money instantly. So when they want the money instantly, it just becomes a fight, and greed steps in, and he should get so much, and I should get so much. So how is the percentages of the estate given out?
So you actually bring up another important topic. So as I mentioned before, you can pass away intestate or testate, meaning
Right.
you have a will or you do
Or
not
don't
have a will, right?
Okay.
So it's important, even beforehand, we know that death is inevitable. It's uncomfortable. Some people don't like to talk about it, but it's inevitable. So the important thing is to have a proper estate plan in process so that your wishes are very clear. So, let's say mom passes away and the children are arguing. If mom's wishes are very clear and she went to a
Clear.
professional, she went to an attorney to draft her estate plan, there really is no room for argument. Now, granted, people may still argue because that's in their nature, but a mom's plan will be very clear as far as who she wanted to have what and, potentially even why.
So I do have a question though. If you have a will, can a will be, what's the word? Like contested?
It's possible,
Okay.
but you can't contest it just because you don't like it.
Well, that's what I
Right.
wanted.
So it typically has to be an established, legal reason. Like maybe you think that the person who did the will didn't have capacity at the time. Maybe you think they were under duress. There are certain things that you can challenge. You just really can't challenge just because you don't like it.
Well,
Because there could be multiple copies, right? Because you could have siblings saying, "No, mom didn't want that. She wrote this down in 2017, but then we found another note in her Bible in 2018, and then you have all that, right? That could be contested.
Well, the
based
thing
on
is,
the sibling.
Well, the thing is, there is a formality to a will. So that's why I say, please go to an attorney. Because what I come across in practice is that a lot of people, try to do it themselves, or they
Right.
try to, print a will offline. I'm not going to throw any particular establishment out, but you really need to sit down and speak with an attorney, because these wills that you print off online don't always meet Florida law, and essentially they're useless.
but if a
And
person has,
Tremisha, you're an attorney and you're a practicing attorney. Give your information right now for someone who needs to do estate planning, for someone who needs to sit down and talk about this process, because you make a good point. Everyone just Googles, downloads, and think that that's going to work. So how can they get in touch with you for this whole process?
Absolutely. So my name is Attorney Tremisha Smiley. I am the managing attorney for the Florida office of the Probate Pro. Our office is located in Lake Mary, but again, we practice the entire state of Florida. You can reach my office at 407-559-5480. And I have other attorneys on staff, paralegals, assistants, and so forth, that we can make sure that, we get your estate plan down right, or even if, someone has already passed away, we can usher you through that process as well.
great. So I have another question for you, Tremisha, because I went through some of these things. Now, if I have a will okay, you guys can use me for example, but if I have a will and I have it written out, because that's what a lot of people do, they go online and they go get it notarized, but my brother or sister that are still living want to contest my will. I mean, how does that work, or can they contest it?
Well, I mean, they have to have a valid legal reason for doing so. They have to have a valid reason or a legal reason for doing so. I mean, a lot of times you see that in families, someone else will hire their own attorney and you have multiple attorneys involved. And I mean, it will drag out the process, but
Right.
at the end, the court's going to follow the law. And if,
So the law is the will. If they're listening, they know out there that they need a will. If they have a will, now if the
well, what I mean by the law is actually Florida statute. So Florida statute's going to run down all the things that are valid, and, just because someone feels a certain way, that
doesn't
doesn't
necessarily mean that that's what's going to happen. So now does the will, and I know we're about to go on a break, but I wanted to ask you this part, and then you can come back and also tell it to us a little bit more about this. But does a deed to the property, so if I deed my property over to my children, does the will supersede the deed?
the deed rules.
The deed rules
Right.
to the real estate.
Because the will only pertains to items of the estate. Being that there's a deed, that's a separate contract. So that means that particular property is not a part of the estate, so the will cannot direct it.
But what if the children are saying, "Hey, well, or pretty much my dad dies," and the two kids say, "Well," and in the will it was given to someone else, and the two children are still alive, can they get a share of that property now?
So you're saying, just to kind of clarify the situation, there is a property, the will directs it to someone who is not the children.
Correct.
Is it a homestead property?
Yes, and that's
And that matters.
That's a good point to bring up on our break.
Yeah,
That's correct. Yep. We're going to talk about that on the other side of this break. We sure hope that you will stay with us. For more info on either one of these guys, neillavelle.com, movewiththerivers.com as well. We will be right back. The show is called What's Your Next Move on News Radio WFLA Orlando.
These are real hot topics, though, that people really just, don't get a chance to really understand. And I see it so much because I do a lot of probate as well. But, man, as soon as the person dies, I mean, the fight begins. It's just crazy. It just
And Tramisha, they always want to go online and do that free quitclaim deed. We need to talk about that because that right
yeah.
there is a whole nother level.
There,
They need
there
to
are
talk to you.
situations, there are probates that should have never occurred if someone hadn't tried to do their own deed.
Correct. Right.
yeah, that's true. Now,
We gotta
and
help them help
we also
themselves.
need to do husband and wives too. Now, because when a husband dies or a wife dies, the kids, and it goes to the
Well, it depends if those kids were shared or not shared. All that.
see, those are the technicalities that people don't, and how the deed was actually done. Yeah, so the husband and wives, because
'Cause
that's
a lot of the times, if we can go through the deed part, someone will do their own deed and they'll take it and they'll record it. Just because the county recorded it does not mean it was done properly. I mean, the county's not going to give you legal advice. They're
That's
just
true.
recording the document that you gave to them.
Right. And the other thing, if they haven't talked to someone like yourself, Tramisha, being that you're a professional and you're attorney at this, people don't realize too that it could end up, if the property is in one state and you don't live there, it's going to probate in the state where the actual property is located. So a lot of people don't know that. And they're thinking, oh, well,
That's
it's going to
true.
probate here. No, you could have a property out in Minnesota and live in Florida, but your probate is going to be handled in the state where the property is.
Yep.
A lot of
Particularly
people
for
just
you'll
don't
have
know
a,
that.
a
So much
domiciliary probate where the state
Yep.
where you're a resident of, but then you have to do an
Right.
ancillary in that other state.
Exactly. There's so many things to probate. I'm so glad you came on the show.
Yeah, and part of my model is death, as we were talking, is death, debt, and divorce. So I deal with a lot of death in the family. And man, the money. All right, we can keep going, Melissa.
I see you're ready for track number 3, segment number 3, another 10-minute jobby, and I think we can handle that. Stand by.
Yeah, you can play that.
Dina Howard?
Yeah, I was trying. It just farted around on me, so hang on. Here we go. Welcome back. It's What's Your Next Move on News Radio WFLA Orlando every Tuesday night from 6 until 7. Tell your friends. You can also catch it on the iHeart Radio app. Just download that and listen today. I am Melissa Fox, and I am guiding this program, but they really don't need that much help. Neil Lavelle and Tanya Rivers. Let's go to the studios.
So, Tamisha, we want to jump right back in on that homestead issue.
Mm-hmm.
So, if the property is homesteaded, what does that mean?
Well, Florida homestead law is a very particular thing.
Okay.
For example, if you have property that's homestead, it's going to be subject to the laws of homestead. But if you have just a separate property, whether it's a rental property or something like that, it won't, if it's not your homestead, it doesn't meet or it doesn't require to follow certain processes. So, for example, where it comes up in my practice is where, a husband and a wife share a home, right?
Okay, here we go.
One of them passes away.
Right.
And they have children, but those children are not shared, meaning that maybe somebody had a prior marriage or just had a prior child.
Mm-hmm.
That significantly affects homestead. So I have a lot of cases where a husband will pass away and the wife just assumes the house is mine. Now, here's the wrinkle of that. Let's say I'm finding a lot of times that wives don't realize that they're not on the deed, right? So
Right.
if they were both on the deed, not really a problem. But they're realizing that, maybe the husband had the house before and she moved in later and they just never added her.
So, if he never added her, does she get a share?
She gets a share, but again, it depends on children. So let's say he had children prior to this particular marriage.
Right.
That house does not go 100% to the spouse. It either takes a situation to where the spouse either may have a life estate in the property
Mm-hmm.
or the spouse may have to split the property 50-50 with the children. And that, I think, that's kind of one of the more difficult conversations that I have to have with individuals because, before someone passes away, they're not having these conversations and they're not sitting down with a professional to see what actually would happen because in many cases, that husband absolutely desired for his wife to have that home 100%.
And
but that's
maybe
not
not
what
some of
happens.
these kids either, because some
Correct.
of these kids are crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no. So if the husband or the wife dies and the children it does not automatically, if the deed is just in the husband's name.
Right. It does not automatically pass to the wife. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions. And I mean, if the case is the children were shared, it's certainly a lot simpler. But my biggest point that I want to make through this entire show is that don't leave your circumstances or the circumstances of your family to Florida law and how that's determined.
Oh man,
Be proactive. Make your estate plan, and it's not just talking about a will, but I'm talking about all the supplementary documentation that you may need: power of attorney, living will, pre-need designation of guardian, things like that. To where a lot of times I see where something devastating happens, and it didn't have to be that bad if let's say a power of attorney was in place. Maybe we wouldn't need a guardianship because that person has now lost capacity. There's so many things that can go wrong, and it's just very necessary to be proactive.
So,
do you think?
Go ahead,
ahead.
Tanya.
Sid. I'm sorry, Neil. Go ahead.
No, so
I was just thinking in general, like the probate process. You're talking about this, but again, isn't it better to be proactive and you can possibly spend less, Attorney Smiley, versus waiting to the end and possibly having expensive court cases? You're having to put up money, all these things. I mean, some people look at estate planning or preparation. A couple $100 or $1,000 can save you tons of thousands of dollars later down the road. I mean, probate doesn't have to be difficult, but lawsuits make it difficult, right? So that's something we want to deal with: real issues, real advice. And I think it's very important for our listeners to understand that when you're working with the right attorney, it's someone that specializes in probate process and living wills and all those. You don't have to go to the ads that you see all the time where people are trying to upsell you, all these different services. It can kind of be one-stop shopping and handle everything. So Tramisha, can you let them know how they can reach you, on how they can get this planning process going along?
Absolutely. Again, my name is Attorney Tramisha Smiley. I am the managing attorney for the Florida office of the Probate Pro. We are a multi-state firm. My office is located in Lake Mary, Florida, but we do practice the entire state of Florida, so I can help you anywhere you are in Florida. My office line is 407-559-5480. And feel free to ask for me directly. I mean, there are other attorneys on our staff, but if you've listened to this show and you just want to continue a conversation with me, I would be thrilled to do that with you.
all right. And if you guys want to get to Neil Lavelle, it is Neil Lavelle or neillavelle.com. And I can be reached at 407-466-1529. Again, Neil Lavelle, 407-466-1529. Tanya?
I'm so excited that you're on this show. And we can be reached at movewiththerivers.com or also what'syournextmove.live. Tramisha, let's talk about real quick probate. People think it's going to take a long time. It is a possibility. Isn't it based on some key factors? Maybe the complexity of your state. Maybe it's based on the state you live in. What are some of maybe 3 quick points that you can share with our listeners about the probate process in general? Either 3 good tips or what not to do, or 3 good tips in your mind on this process.
I would say have a plan and have that plan be done by an attorney. And I would say just also have the talk with your family members, your beneficiaries, so that it's not exactly a surprise when the inevitable happens, and everyone kind of knows where your mind was at the time and how you wanted things to happen. Again, probate process, it greatly varies. There are some that are done within a few months. There are some that take years because things are dragging out, or maybe just the cooperation of the individuals involved. But I would want to make one more point, is that there are ways to avoid or even mitigate probate. There's possibility of having a trust. There's different, especially types of like an enhanced life estate deed that could very well limit your need for the probate process. Again, please see a professional to talk about these things. Please don't try to do them yourself.
They need to see you, Tramisha.
Yes, absolutely. I didn't want to say that, but please come see me.
Right.
But there are all kinds of things that we can explore to make the best situation for your loved ones, and I would love to have that conversation with you. I'll do one more thing, just because I mentioned the T word, which is trust. I know a lot of people think, oh, I absolutely need a trust. It's absolutely necessary. I heard it does this. I heard it does that. But again, sit with a professional and find out what is right for you, and not someone who's just going to try to upsell you something when that's not really what you need.
So let me ask you before we go to break, on the trust side of it, right? Mm-hmm. In the trust, can't you can lay out exactly, specifically how the deed, because the trust is really just a document, right?
It's a document, but it goes a step further than a will, whereas a will, you can draft a document and leave it alone.
Right.
Trust requires what we call active management, meaning that you need to retitle properties, retitle accounts, and it requires certainly more work and ongoing work than a will does. So again, please see a professional, because I've seen people who created a trust online and they created the document, but they didn't properly fund it or retitle anything. So that document that they
Doesn't
spent a
mean
couple
anything.
$1,000s was worthless.
Right now, but when they retitle the property under the trust, it has to go based on what the trust says.
Right.
Correct?
At that point, it becomes a trust asset. So the trust absolutely
So
governs it.
who sets the now again so that the listeners out there understand when you have a trust that you have to have what, a beneficiary or somebody?
Right.
or-
So when you sit down with that professional, aka me,
there you
we
go.
can go through exactly what you want to happen, why, and if there's any particular schedule you want, we can talk about that. Whether that you want something to go to your children, whether you want it to go to charity, anything. It's just all about sitting down and making the plan.
Well, right, because everybody says when you have that trust, it's like the safest way to go. But really, it's just there's several different ways. I mean, you can create a life estate.
Absolutely.
Tell them what a life
there are
estate is.
many clients that I meet. Once we sit and we look at their assets,
Right.
we decide, no, a trust isn't needed here. We can certainly serve all of your needs by creating this enhanced life estate deed, which is also sometimes called a ladybird deed, and then making sure that you have beneficiaries on all of your bank accounts, your retirement accounts, and so forth. Again, that conversation of sitting down with a professional, I cannot stress the importance of it and all the heartache and time and even money you would save by doing so.
No, that's true. And when we come back, I want you to also talk one more, a hot topic, which is these quitclaim deeds. Everybody just says, oh, I'll just quitclaim the deed over to this body
Absolutely.
and that body. And then you know what? There's more confusion
Absolutely.
afterwards, because that's one of the main issues that I run into all the time, Tanya, is that these people, they come in, he quitclaimed the deed over to me, and so how do we get around that? And
I can't wait.
And the fight begins.
I think we should talk about probate too. Because I got screwed. No will, thanks, Ma. Anywho, this is What's Your Next Move. We'll be back to conclude the hour with all kinds of fun questions. You stay right there, and we'll stay right here.
There you go. I'm going to run out to get Stephanie. She's in the lobby.
Go ahead.
And we also need to talk about wives and husbands when they're on the deed. Like, what they're getting.
And we're killing it. Tanya, you need to talk more. What the hell? Neil is monopolizing the conversation here. No, I'm serious, dog.
This is his death, and divorce. Termisha, I told you, Attorney Smiley, he could not wait to have you on the show.
Yeah, he
has
was
all
pretty
these
excited.
questions from everybody all the time.
Can you answer the probate one, or have you?
I've touched on it a little bit.
Okay, so, but you need to stress people need a damn will, okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm just saying, Massachusetts, they were like, give me. Oh, yeah, here's 20%. Knock yourself out. Yeah. You need a will. You need to sign that deed over before you croak. Get your house in order. That's just me talking, don't you worry. All right, so we do have one more segment left. And make sure everybody gets their digits and information out there. And then we're going to just doing some math. Don't you worry about me. What? Segment 3 did not. Oh, that's not you. 6, 8. All right. Well, we're right on the money here. Ooh-wee. That's just me thumping. Banging like Tanya used to when she first came in.
Yep.
I heard somebody's phone vibrating too earlier. It wasn't mine either, I'm telling you. I have no control over the way from response. Yeah, whatever. I knew that. Right here, right. Got a good beat. I think I could dance to it.
I don't hear it.
Hello.
She gonna hang out for the segment, or what is he doing here?
Oh, no.
Hi.
Neil, what are you doing? Hey, Neil, what are you
Hey.
doing? What's going on? Is she just gonna sit there
no.
and monitor?
She's just listening and just watching.
Okay, because then when Teresa's done,
Yeah.
we swap it.
Yep.
No idea, huh? All right, get ready. Here we go. Welcome back. It is What's Your Next Move? We do this for every Tuesday night, 6 until 7 p.m. You can listen to us on 540 AM, 93.1 FM, 94.1 FM. I prefer 107.7 HD3, and of course on the iHeartRadio app. I am Melissa Fox, but we got important people, knowledgeable real estate agents, etc. in the studio. Tanya, who hasn't spoken much because Neil is very excited about the guests that he has brought. So let's bring it back. Teresha's in the studio, Teresha Smiley, and she's going to talk about probate a little more and some other goodies.
Okay. So
Yeah, so we want Teresha to go ahead. We get this question all the time about quick claim deeds. Okay, people are going online, downloading the form, and they're submitting to Teresha. What are we doing wrong, and what is the deal with the quick claim deeds in the property?
I see far too often someone who tried to do a do-it-yourself quick claim deed and did not do it correctly. And in situations to where probate was not necessary, but because they did not do the deed properly, it was necessary. So, for example, if you just print out a deed and you want joint ownership, there are more than one type of joint ownership in the state of Florida. You may have right to survivorship, you may have tenants in common, and so forth. And so there are details about the verbiage, the specific verbiage that needs to be in those
hold
deeds.
on, time out. What does right to survivorship mean?
Right. So let's say you have a property that's owned by two people.
Mm-hmm.
Right. A lot of times people just assume because it's two people, one passes, it's automatically going to go. The property is going to go 100% to the other person. If you are not husband and wife and have certain language on your deed, that's not automatically going to happen. There's language that you need to include in there. I'm not going to go word by word for what that is because the law changes and things can be misinterpreted. But it's a deed is not that simple as a fill in the blank document that you get from online. You need to make sure that you have the proper language. You need to make sure that it's executed properly, all the formalities with witnesses, notary, and so forth. Because even there's changes in notary blocks and things of that sort. You just really need to sit down with a professional. Because these are important, this is property, this is real estate, it's valuable. You need to make sure that you're, taking care of it accordingly.
So let me ask you this, because I know this is one of the questions that I get all the time. So if a husband dies and leaves it, I keep saying husband, but I mean, it could go either way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if the husband dies and the property, okay, because most times in the state of Florida, it says, on the deeds, it says a husband as a married man.
Mm-hmm.
So does that carry any weight?
Well, it does, but again,
For the wife, I mean, that's what I'm talking about.
are both names listed on the deed?
No, and it's just his name on the deed.
Just his name, a married
does
man.
that carry
Is it
any weight?
homestead? I mean,
Yes, and it's homesteaded.
it's
It
one of
should
those things.
carry weight for her, though, no?
I would say this goes back to going
50%
through
rule again.
your documents and making sure things are done properly.
Okay.
A professional, if in that case, and if it was the husband's desire for it to pass to the wife, it shouldn't have been drafted that way. So if we just go back to, how things should be drafted, we really don't want to leave area to be subject to interpretation or whatever your intent actually was. In that case, because there's some times where they forget to even say it was a married person, but in that case, they mention that it is a married person.
Right.
I don't want to give an exact answer to that one because there's too many intricacies of it, and it's one of those things where I would actually want to see the deed in front of me before putting out in public my answer to that.
Okay. Well,
I like my
that's
bar
cool.
license.
No.
No,
I-
it makes total sense. I mean, Teresha, because a lot of times, with the death and divorce, sometimes with bank accounts, like banks do not require you to have a beneficiary. But guess what happens to the money? If something happens, you pass away unexpectedly, there's no beneficiary. Doesn't that money go to possibly end up in probate?
Right.
does
So
that
if
work?
there's an individual bank account and there's no beneficiary assigned to it, no joint account owner, anything like that, that becomes part of your estate once you pass away. So yes, that item would be subject to probate.
Right.
But-
So people think they could just take a debit card and go to the ATM machine because they know the PIN number and just start taking money out. That's against the law. It's not your account. It's not your, you find your spouse's card, but it's
Yeah,
the
don't do
individual
that.
account,
Don't
not
do
a
that.
joint owner. You can't take that money.
Wait, if it's an
can't take
and
it.
or, can you?
Well, I mean,
You
that's
can't
different.
take
We
the
were
money.
saying it was an individual, but
Right,
if
right.
you're listed,
Yes.
if you have authority on that account, that's different.
Correct.
But
An individual account. Well, technically, you're not supposed to use each other's bank accounts, debit cards anyway.
Yeah, but
because
that happens every
federal
day,
offense as
though.
Well,
The husband used the wife's, the wife used the husband's. I mean, that happens every day.
that's still not right. Doesn't make it right.
But if he dies or she dies, then they go to the bank. That happens. Is that illegal?
I do not
sorry.
Not if
recommend
they're
it.
joint account owners.
I'm sorry. I don't
What-
call this
so
show
technically-
the
technically-
moral police here.
I have a financial background as well. So technically, the moment that someone passes away, that needs to be reported
Right.
to the bank. And at that point, they freeze the account. So no transactions should occur.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But then they can go in with the will.
Well, not just the will, because you have to submit the will to the probate court to get appointed as a personal representative to have access to it. A bank's just not going to let you walk in and show the will and say,
Nope.
hey, because this will says I'm the beneficiary, give me all the money. It still is subject to the probate process.
And then how long does that process, that particular process? So I got his will right here, and I go to the probate court or submit a summary of administration. Is that what it was called?
Well, I mean, that's one of the types of probate in Florida.
So is that the one that you do with the will again?
I mean, you can with or without. So you can,
Oh, okay.
yeah, it just depends. If there's no will, absolutely. And as long as the assets meet the criteria to be a summary administration, whether it's a will or not.
Okay. So once they do that, then they can go submit, here's the will, then it becomes a part of the probate, and then I can go get the money.
Well, I mean, it's an entire process. So, like with a
Gotta wait
summary,
it
it's
out.
abbreviated. Yeah, a summary is abbreviated, so you can, admit the will to the probate court and maybe be done, within a few weeks, maybe a month. It just depends on the county because some counties are quicker than others. But
But how do you
it's hard.
prevent that, Tramisha? How do you prevent that? By getting the beneficiary in your bank account, right?
Absolutely.
And that's with
That's the
the,
advice she gives.
but hold on. So Tanya, so is that with the will or is that without the will?
Either way.
You should have
Either
a
way.
beneficiary on your
Either
account.
way. So your beneficiary, if you have it on account, like transfer on death, payable on death, that's seen as a separate contract, and it makes those items not a part of your estate. So if you have a beneficiary in your bank account, all that beneficiary needs to do is go to the bank with your death certificate and identify
That's it.
themselves. And some banks have some additional paperwork and different things for them to
See,
do.
that's why you need an attorney. Tamisha, tell them
Well, look
how
how
to get
quick
a
this
hold
is,
of you
though.
right there. See, please tell them how to get a hold of you.
All right.
Right there.
I am attorney Tramisha Smiley. I am the managing attorney for the Probate Pro. My office number is 407-559-5480. Feel free to ask for me directly.
And if you guys need some, more real estate experience, then this is where me and Tanya come in. You can call Neil Lavelle at 407-466-1529 or neillavelle.com. And again, it's 407-466-1529.
Right. We just want to hear your questions, guys. You can visit us on what'syournextmove.live. We can continue these conversations on. Just real good information here being shared.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, Tramisha, you have, I'm sure, solved a lot of problems or created some issues. So they're going to call
Good
you.
issues. Good issues.
Good issues. They're good issues to have because a lot of times people just don't know who to trust. You know what I mean? And they don't know whether or not if I go to this attorney, am I going to lose or am I going to gain? And then how quickly? So, because I see it so much, it's hard too, and it weighs in on the family because a lot of times they just don't know who to trust again. And if you guys are out there and you're listening, the most important thing you can do if there's death in the family is go see Tramisha. Go see an
Yes, sir.
attorney because at the end of the day, they're going to bring a complete peace to your family with some legal guidance. And it's real. And there's so many other little loopholes that we should be taking and doing, Tanya, that a lot of people just don't do because they don't know. It's real estate.
Right. And
planning.
you want to get what's, like you say, somebody you trust, but someone's ethical. I mean, attorneys, American Bar Association, us realtors, part of the National Association of Realtors. Get a professional that's locked and loaded with their information, their knowledge that can lead you and guide you in the right way. That's what this show is all about. Real lifestyle, real estate, real issues.
Yeah, and listen, Tanya, don't forget next week we got Stephanie Martinez coming on because she's our one of the hottest in lending that's in Orlando, and she's going to be giving us that 100% financing deal that's hot in the market right now. So don't forget her next week. And
No, we're super excited. We have to have Attorney Smiley back again.
yeah, Tramisha, come on, man, you gotta
my
come
pleasure
back.
to come back.
Yeah, please come back so they can really find out all of these death questions. Because it's all money too, money and death.
Money
don't
counts.
agree.
I
Oh,
don't
yeah,
care what
yeah.
you say. Hey,
does.
this is What's Your Next Move. We'll be back again Tuesday night at 6 o'clock. Until then, guys, say goodbye.
See you guys. Call us.
Bye.
Bye.
Tramisha, that was fantastic information.
Thank you.
Really good, really good, really good.
And she's like, if you were in my office, that would be a consultation fee of $750 per hour. Thank you and good night.
I missed both of that.
She didn't hear anything you said, Diane. She took the headphones off.
What happened?
Oh,
She didn't catch you.
No, she said
yeah, I think she does.
if I was at your office, that would be $750 for that consultation.
Oh, damn. She tried
for
you.
all that detailed work. She does offer consultations though.
I do.
All right, so folks, we're going to now, at this point, switch out our guests and record a second show because, we can, frankly.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
go ahead and escort Tricia out.
Thank you. That was great.
Yeah, she did a great job. Thank you so much.
A natural.
And that's a wrap for that.
I love it.
Melissa, do you have any water in here?
Not a drop. There's a water fountain outside the ladies' room on the way.
There's a water fountain.
What do you want for nothing, huh? Yeah, maybe go out there and get you some of that.
So I'll follow her, and then you can sit there. Put the
Okay.
headphones on.
Yep, slide around.
Hot seat.
Yeah, if you want to slide around over there, put the headphones on. You want to keep your mouth about 2 inches or less in front of the microphone. If you've done this before, sorry for being redundant.
On Monsters, and I don't.
Oh, you were on the Monsters before? Yeah, well, no big deal. But anyway, yeah, headphones, yep. And then you want to keep yourself close to that microphone.
It's just a smidgen.
Yeah, she had a big head.
I have a big face, but not a big head.
Right? No, I don't think so. I like
Okay,
it.
so tell me, how's this?
Perfect. You
Good.
sound? Do you hear yourself all right?
Yeah. Weird
Well,
nasal voice, but that's,
If you
that's
want to
normal.
turn it up or down, you follow the lead, the line down to there it is, and then just turn that little knob, loud, softer, whatever you need. My voice should be the one you base it on. If I'm too
Yeah.
loud, then turn me the hell down. Right.
I like it.
Thank
Good.
you. Thank you. That's what I do.
Maybe I'm hard of hearing.
Yeah. It's okay. Yeah, it's better though when you can do that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just gonna take a little behind the scenes footage.
Mm-hmm. A little bit. That's what's going on.
Yeah. Good stuff.
That'll work. Oh, we're doing the selfies. Yay!
A little behind the scenes, a little
Well, you know,
swirl in the chair.
you see how
right?
that's going? All right. Oh, so people, I'm hiding. Here, let me just come on out. There I am. So anyway, hi. If you're still watching the show, God bless you. We're going to do a second hour here because it's easier. These guys are real estate agents, and they're constantly out in the field, and they make time to do this show so that they can, well, basically tell you what's going on in Florida real estate and in their neck of the woods. So if you have any questions, you know the skinny. Mm-hmm. I shall now hide myself. Oh, there I am. I'm hidden. All right. And we're going to start the show in a sec. You all ready there, boss? Everyone? Mm-hmm. Neil, are you ready?
I am.
Okay, good. All right, then let's start this party. Mm-hmm. Yep, there he is. I was right. Welcome! It is What's Your Next Move? We do this every Tuesday night, 6 until 7 o'clock. Tell you what's going on in Central Florida real estate, infrastructures, new builds, buyers and sellers, and important information that you may not know. We've got Tanya Rivers, your host, as well as Neil Lavelle. And I'm going to throw it to the studio right now and shut up.
Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back to What's Your Next Move? And today we have some exciting things here for you, some real good value as normal. And Tanya, today we really going to talk about the money, because the money is really where everybody needs to begin, because without the money you can't buy, you just can't buy a house. And we got Stephanie Martinez coming up, and she's going to, she's the hottest new thing here in Orlando. All right. And she's going to give us a lot of the update on the market. But really, Tanya, before we get started, let's give Orlando what the update is on the market.
Exactly. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to What's Your Next Move. This is our lifestyle program. We address real issues in the real estate market. And right now we're focusing on our Central Florida area. That is the hot spot. I am Florida's #1 relocation realtor, and I can let you know that people are still moving to Florida by the droves. They're still coming. They're moving in from the northeast areas, moving in from the north, coming in from the west. They're settling down, not only to retire, but to just keep their lifestyle going, guys. With the inflation on the rise, people have some uncertainties. They're not sure. They know they can land in Florida with a sweet spot of around $400,000 to $420,000 for a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, or 2.5, 3-bath home with a pool. That's great schools, and they could just really enjoy the lifestyle of Florida. We have homestead exemptions. We have so many amazing things, tax savings that people want to take advantage of. So people are still moving here. Interest rates are still, Neil, roughly, 6.9% and climbing up and down, give or take a little bit. That's what we're seeing right now, 6 to 7%, whether you're buying down points, if you think that's, the best move for you or not. That's where we're hovering. So our price point here in Florida is still matching. We're consistent. Our inventory is up and down. But again, those folks that had those interest rates, from last year, kind of holding on to those properties, Neil, and you're looking at more Airbnb options available. Yep. People are moving and getting secondary homes. They're staying in their other states and buying secondary properties as well. So I'm super excited about having Empire Financial on the show, so we can talk about how some of these folks can get loans for secondary properties, investment properties, commercial properties here in Central Florida. And that's what we have going on today.
And let me just say something to you, Tanya. I was reading an article that that actually said, and we'll talk to Stephanie in a little bit about it, but my word on the streets are that interest rates are going down, or are supposed to be going down in the first quarter of next year, which for me, if it does go down next year, which I don't think it will, but that's just the word. That's the word that I read, or the article that I read. And I don't know how factual it is, but if it does, I think that the market is going to go crazy. Home prices here in Central Florida, like you said, have leveled off, and they're still slowly climbing, even though inventory is really low. Guys out there, if you're listening, this is the time to buy. Listen, our real estate is America's best investment, period, the end. So if you're thinking about buying, rent prices are going off the chart, Tanya. So, it doesn't even make sense anymore for somebody to even think, if they have the money, you should be buying. No matter which way you twist it or turn it, the time is now to buy. So, but my first thought is, if rates are going to come down, home prices are going to go up, because that's going to create another big boom. And then I'm going to ask Stephanie to talk to us about that 100% finance. I can't believe that they have 100% financing. To me, Tanya, this reminds me of 2007, 2008, right before the market crash. So I don't know. But there's a bunch of lenders that are out there that are doing what they call DSCR programs now. And we're going to let Stephanie tell us all about what DSCR means. But
just a lot of creative options. You hear typically about your traditional VA loans and USDA loans and your commercial loans, and everybody focuses on the 30-year fixed and things like that. They really forget about those 15 arms that are available. They forget about the no bank, the no doc loans. They forget about the DSCR, that's based on, your credit worthiness and things like that within your businesses. So I know that's a topic that people are going to be super excited about, our next segment. And Neil, the thing is, we have to help educate folks on a daily basis of what's really happening with the money situation, right?
No,
the
that's
credit
the
score.
but again,
Talking about what credit and money, you have to have credit and money even if you're renting, right?
Yep.
So with the new laws that are happening, new bills that are being passed in Florida, look, the landlords can increase your monthly your security deposits, or they can trade that out for monthly fees that they're adding on. So
Yep.
things are changing even in the
Rental
world,
world.
right?
Yeah, no, it's true.
$2,500 the average price to rent an apartment, a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment, depending on the area. So, I mean, we still have to consider all things when we're planning, right? So whether you're buying or renting right now, come on, we have to get the credit and the money plan put in place, and that's what we do. And you can reach us at whatsyournextmove.live for those plans.
Or you can reach Neil Lavelle at 407-466-1529. And it's Neil Lavelle, 407-466-1529. And it's neillavelle.com. But I'm just saying, Tanya, though, I mean, the rental, to rent a 2-bedroom apartment and I don't know what's decent to anyone else, but I just know that a 2-bedroom apartment right now is close to $2,000.
Absolutely. $2,500. Absolutely.
And they can get it for $25. I looked at a 3-bedroom townhome, going towards the east side, right off of Colonial, and they wanted $2,800. $2,800 for a 3-bedroom
and that's
townhome.
the thing, Neil. That's what people need to realize, though, Neil. You got to realize if you're going to fork over $2,800 a month and you're not going to own it, that's fine. Renting works for some people, right, in their lifestyle and
that's true too.
Short-term rentals,
That's
things like
really
that.
true.
Okay, that can work. But if it's a long-term plan, do not be afraid of deep diving into your credit, guys. Don't be afraid to look at the programs. There's programs out there that you can have a 600, 620, 680, 650. There's so many different options out there. So really working with a professional through this process can really help you understand the value of, if you're going to put down $8,000 in first and last month rent and the first, security deposit, that could be $8,000 right there.
Right,
Like,
towards your
that
down
could
payment.
be your down payment.
Listen,
On a
I
home.
get it. I think people are, if you guys are listening, the value that we want to bring to you, which is really the real, and at the same time too, what is your next move? It should be some real estate. And if it's not your primary, this is, again, still another great time in the market to make an investment for investment homes. And I'm going to ask her, I forgot to ask her when we were talking about, everybody's talking about these fix and flips. There's a lot of buzz going out there for, I want to see if I can get me a flip. But,
Right.
or these takeover, I forgot what they call it now. But it's a new word out there it's for a takeover mortgage. And they do exist, because in the high-end world, Tanya, there's a lot of mortgages that are assumable. But then
Absolutely.
But there's some that's not, and people don't really realize what the difference is. So maybe we could ask Stephanie about that too. But there's a lot going on.
There's a big difference. I mean, I'm under contract right now with an FHA assumable loan, a
Okay, there you go.
2.5% interest rate from last year, home, but 2022. Come on. I mean, these are out here, guys, but working with a professional, you're going to know the inventory, you're going to know the areas, and they're deals. There are still deals. There's foreclosures out there. There's short sales that are out there. You just have to know where to go, and you can't just Google something, right?
So
everything out there is repurposed. People need to get away from just Googling and seeing what's out there on the internet.
I have a question for you. With the deal that you have on it, and I know it's private, but
Right.
for the one that they're doing the assumable, is it taking over from? They're not restarting that loan, though, right? It's assuming.
No, absolutely not. What they're doing is they are just covering the difference. So they're just picking up with the balance of that
That
mortgage.
debt, right?
All they're doing is covering the difference. But guess what? In Florida, you can get a $400,000 house, a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house, beautiful home for $425,000, guys.
And
With an assumable loan at 2.5%. We can talk more about this when we get back, Neil. But that's a great question.
No, it really is, and those are the things that, again, this is why Central Florida is, they're just driving in by droves, flying in by a drove, whatever they're doing, but they're coming to Central Florida. Why? Because our lifestyle, Tanya. It's our lifestyle.
True story. It's our lifestyle. We do love it, although there's a heat wave all over the United States.
Yep.
It's hot down here.
Yeah, but it's our lifestyle. too,
What's your
Melissa.
next move? I know our next move is to be right back.
There you go.
Mama used to say. Oh, sorry. Out of your time? Is it? Is this too early for you all? Too early? Y'all don't know Junior?
No, we're good. We're good with that.
No, you sure? My mama used to say. I know you didn't. You lying to me. It's okay.
I don't know what Neil's talking about.
Do you know
But I'm
that song
30.
I just
I'm
played?
30.
See, you don't know. You lying to me too.
I'm
Why?
like, Neil, I don't know about that, but I'm in my 30s.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You're
right.
okay.
He's like, yeah, right. We're on the air. Come on.
Mhm.
Okay, that's right. My bad, Johnny. You're right. You
Tell
look
somebody
like
that.
25. How about that?
I do. I'll take that.
There you
I'm
go.
still in my
Can't see
40s, though,
Tanya
so I'll
from
take
here,
that.
but
I'm still in my
I
40s, so
second
I'll
that.
take it.
Ha!
I will take it. I'm not ashamed.
Don't be ashamed. It's all good.
Yeah,
Not
I always
ashamed.
say it's a blessing to get older for sure.
Oh,
right.
please.
I'm not cracking over here, Neil.
Who's saying that crap?
Me.
It is a blessing to get old. Listen, I'm not. Listen, I'm 52, and I ain't got no problems with it.
Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
what puts into perspective for me is like seeing my kid, and just knowing that life hangs in that
Ah.
fragile balance. I could
Oh,
leave my
yeah.
kid here by himself at any moment. So I'm like, I'm blessed to raise this kid till he's however old I
So
can.
he's out of my hair. I'm just kidding. What number is this one? 24. Okay. Ready? And I'm rocking. I'm ready if you guys are. Ready?
Yes, we are.
Good. Welcome back. What's your next move? I guess we could find out by rejoining the show. Yes, Neil Lavelle in the studio, remotely Tanya Rivers. Oh, I love technology. Also in the studio, we have, is it Stephanie Martinez?
Stephanie Martinez.
What? I got it right on my first shot. Good stuff. All right, let's take it back to the studio. Let's talk about some real estate, and we've got some important questions, too. There you go.
Yes, we're super excited. Before the break, Melissa, we were talking about the FHA loan and the requirement for that. And this is going to be our segue into our very special guest that Neil's going to announce here in just a second here. But with the FHA, guys, you have to remember there are certain requirements for FHA, right? So you have to, people that are looking to relocate, you have to live in that state, you have to have your income verified, all that good stuff, the FHA requirements and everything for those assumable loans and things like that. So there are requirements. You cannot lease those properties out. You got to live in them for 12 months as a primary residency and all that, same thing there. But what we're about to talk about now is not those traditional programs, right? We're going to talk about some non-traditional programs that you may or may not know about that may not have the same strict guidelines that those other programs have. So Neil's going to introduce our very special guest so we can get down and talk about some of those questions.
So guys, listen, we got Stephanie Martinez on with us.
Hello. Thank you.
So Stephanie, I've been telling them that how famous you are and how much exciting things that you have out there. But first things first, guys, if you're looking to purchase a home, you got to find the money. You got to get a mortgage, right? So Stephanie, tell me, what's your hottest mortgage top? Well, I know that I got some real questions, but what is the hottest mortgage topics that is out there in the marketplace?
So everyone currently is talking about the Hometown Heroes program.
What is that?
It's a down payment assistance. They give up to $35,000 now. It's 5% of the purchase price.
Mm-hmm.
So the main reason everyone's talking about it is because they recently just opened up that job requirement to include all jobs.
So hold on. So anybody that is working, and as long as you have a job, you can get down payment assistance?
Correct.
So if I'm a mechanic or a teacher, it doesn't matter. I can get home. So where does the money come from? Who's giving it? I don't understand.
So it's a bond program.
Please explain it for
Please
Neil.
help me out here.
So it's a bond program, and they've allocated, I want to say, $100 million towards this program.
The government has done that?
It's in conjunction with the government, yeah. So
Okay.
they've, it's done through Lakeview Servicing, and that's kind of the more complicated technical back end of it. But yeah, it is kind of a government-backed program.
So
But it's not a bond like you think it's a bond. I mean, come on, listeners. Let's think differently here. We're not talking about that bond.
That gets a
It's
little
different type of
technical.
bond.
Yes.
So with these programs, they're able to do. How much money does a person need? Let's just use an example. They're buying a $300,000 house. I got 620 credit. How much do I need to get into this other program?
So you're going to look about 6%, right? So you're going to maybe, if you're a first-time home buyer, you may be between 3%, 3.5% down, depending on the loan program.
Right.
And then closing costs, we usually estimate it's going to be 3% of the purchase price. It could be a little less. It could be a little more, depending, buy downs, stuff like that.
Right, but but I'm talking about with the program that's going to give me the down payment assistance. How much do I need?
You're going to get 5%. So if you compare that, right? So if you need 6% just about to get into that whole purchase, you're going to get a good amount with 5%.
So that means I'm walking into this house now for $300,000 for really literally about $3,000.
Correct.
And that's with my down. So hold on. So that's with
Which
my
is
down.
better than the traditional, right? It's better than the traditional FHA. If you don't qualify for that at 3.5%, look at this option right here. There's not the same specification.
Right. That's the whole thing. So that's crazy.
Exactly.
So I'm in the house for $3,000.
Yeah, so the FHA is used in conjunction with the Hometown Heroes Assistance. So, and you can also pair it with conventional VA. And so we do that. We also we have all of those, government-backed programs, and the standard Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, but we also have non-conventional.
All right, but hold, before you go further. So you got me down to 1%. So you can do an FHA program, a first-time home buyer at 100% financing.
Yes, we have that too. Now,
tell us what because there are listeners
So
out
you-
there
yeah.
that's saying I can get on a first-time home buyer. I can do it with 100% financing.
yes. you
Okay,
can.
what do I need?
Okay, so here's the thing that I want to kind of clarify, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, someone told me, I can, it's always a someone told me, and it's not an actual professional, that I can, have terrible credit. I don't need to have anything saved up. I don't need to have a good job. Like, no, that's not correct. If you're going to buy a house, yes, you need to have, significant income, pretty good credit.
When you say significant income, is that 2 years of income? They got to be working for 2 years.
Well,
still.
that's stability of income.
Oh, okay, see.
Right. But we need
Stability is 2 years of tax returns.
2 years of, and W-2s.
Or pretty much.
Yeah, correct. Exactly. So
Okay.
that's, that employment history is the stability of the income. But when I say significant, I mean more just like you want to make sure that, it's not a $20,000 a year job that you're trying to qualify with on a $300,000 property, because that's just not going to be enough by yourself. So you need to have significant versus what you want, right? So Barbie's dream mansion, you're not going to get it working, a small, part-time or something like that.
But the 100% financing that he's talking about, though, let's talk and put that in perspective, Stephanie. We're talking about renting earlier. If you are putting first and last month's rent down, even if you're relocating, or are you already here, you're looking at finding something else, you're essentially moving into the home, right, with less than the amount of money you would put down for a security deposit for an apartment, and you actually will own the property with a roughly a 680 credit score. Is that the number that's out there right now on average?
So it really depends. So as a broker, I have the ability to use so many different lenders, and they all have their company like policies is what you could call it, but we call it overlays in mortgage world, where they're going to have different credit score requirements, because the name of the game is credit risk. So it's kind of like what they've analyzed as being something that they can do. So the 100% financing, we kind of looked into it. We found a low credit score requirement of 600 for one of them.
Time out. So
Okay.
somebody with 600 credit. Okay, you guys, if you're listening,
I am.
Okay.
Go on.
600 credit.
Yes.
They can get 100% financing.
Correct. And
Okay.
it's not.
You need to give everybody your phone number right
Yeah.
now.
I need to write this down. Mhm.
So my phone number
Yes, right now.
my phone number is 305 Miami girl 988-8876. Easy, right? I made it that way for you guys. You can also find me on Instagram, Stephanie Martinez with 5 Z's at the end. That should be relatively easy for you to remember.
Say
as
the
well.
number again. I'm slow.
305-988-8876.
All right. I mean, listen, you guys want to get 100% financing and at 620 credit, you said?
600.
600.
A 600 credit score. But Neil, think about the other traditional program we were talking about. We're talking about USDA. USDA options are still out there with 100% financing as well. what that typically looks like are homes that are on the outskirts, right? Your more rural areas.
Yep.
You're not going to see, downtown Orlando or anything like that, downtown Tampa. But if you're looking at outskirt property at 100% financing USDA, and we've seen people put as little amount as $500 down on USDA property. So you got to think outside the box, Neil. So if you're not talking to a professional, you're going to think in your mind, I need 20% down payment. I need to make $100,000 a year. And you really just don't have to do that anymore. There's, people want you to get in a home. And the people that want you to get in a home are in this room right now. And we can be reached at whatsyournextmove.live.
Or you can come on Neil Lavelle at neillavelle.com, or you can reach me at 407-466-1529. Again, at 407-466-1529. I'm just still lost at 600 credit at 100% financing, just 2 years of income, and I'm walking in the house with no money down.
Girl got my
But
attention.
Neil,
Yes.
you got to be competitive.
Listen, this is why we got
It's
you
all
here,
about
Stephanie.
being competitive.
This is the relationships that
Yeah.
we had. What's your next move bring to the table? Right here, Stephanie Martinez, y'all.
Oh, yeah, good times. Well, I might actually own a house sometime soon. Yeah. It's What's Your Next Move on News Radio WFLA Orlando.
That's still crazy, man. 600.
Do you really not own a home?
No, I did, and then I lost it during the bubble.
Oh, gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I had
Oh,
a
but don't worry. She knows her number one realtors when she's ready.
Yeah, I do. You're right.
She got a whole
you're right.
room of them. Look, every week she talks to all of us. She has a plethora of information.
Yeah, you could just get your license now.
Exactly.
She's like,
Exactly.
actually,
We
you guys
all
are
be
like, stop
responsive.
it.
Y'all
Everyone's-
are funny. Yeah, I probably don't make enough. I probably have too much, the bills that go out and not enough money that comes in.
She's the $1 million radio chick. She doesn't.
Yeah,
I don't
come
make
on.
shit, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's the social media? I really don't.
No. Listen, this is the famous Melissa.
Yeah.
That's right.
In
Melissa,
name
I'm sure
only.
you have willing and able, co-signers to help you out there. So don't even give us that.
I hope so. I got the death, divorce, and
Oh
debt.
yeah, death, divorce, and debt.
The triple D's.
She's
Wow.
got the triple
Those are
Ds.
not triple.
That's not where you want the triple D's, right?
I don't want them at all, man. Can you imagine having them bad boys slipping down the side of your body while you're trying to sleep? What are we talking about?
We're talking about
Death,
death,
and
and
divorce.
divorce,
Yeah.
Melissa. I don't know what you're talking about.
I got nothing. Are we on the last segment already?
No, this is
No.
the second segment.
Third.
It's the
Third.
second.
Oh my gosh, the third.
How did I lose track?
No, we're on our third.
I know.
It's the
it is.
second one.
It's the
We
third.
just finished the second. We're on
It's
our
the
third.
Yeah,
third.
the third one. We're going to start the third.
It's the third. You people.
Okay, so we're gonna go into DSCR programs
Yeah,
and
we
interest
can do that.
rates. Yeah, because that's 100% financing and 600 credit is just blowing my mind.
I know. It's like I talk very slow when I explain those things because those numbers will fly right over everyone's heads, and then they're like, "Isn't it?" And I'm like, "That's not what I said." Don't.
Wow.
They'll try to get you that way sometimes.
No.
Well, everything boils down to qualifications, right? The lenders have to be creative within their guidelines.
But they
and
are
new
creative.
construction-
Oh yeah.
New construction. Everybody has a choice on who they use for a lender. So let's just be honest, just like everything else.
I have a
So they want
question
all
though.
their
Do you
options.
find any of these do you do any new construction loans?
I mean,
Hardly
it's
ever,
hard
right?
because right now all those lenders, they're like hitting so heavy with the concessions that they're giving the
That nobody
person.
wants to
Yeah,
do
that they're
them,
kind of
yeah.
like, oh yeah, this makes.
Save it for the radio kids.
New construction.
Right. Okay.
I was about to bring up new construction.
So go ahead, Tony.
No, all right, but not yet. Let me start the show. All right.
No, she doesn't wanna.
Segment number 3. Here we go. Where's your microphone? Oh. Welcome back to What's Your Next Move? I think we're thinking about it right now, actually.
are.
In the last half hour of the show, definitely have some ideas going. By the way, half hour, did you miss it? What? I just tuned in. Tuesday night, 6 p.m. until 7. Here it is, What's Your Next Move? And the host, Tanya Rivers and Neil Lavelle, plus special guest, Stephanie Martinez. That's a lot of Z's.
Welcome back, everyone. We're super excited to have our guest, Stephanie Martinez with Empire Financial with us today. We were starting to have a great conversation before break regarding what can we do non-traditionally, right? What type of programs are out there? We started talking about credit scores and minimum requirements. They're ranging, guys, from 600 on up. Great deals, great programs. You definitely want to get Stephanie's information. But what we want to talk about now is something that you may not have heard before, which is the DSCR mortgage loan program. And what that is, guys, is a specific type of loan that businesses can use to finance purchases, multi-commercial real estate, multi-family. Stephanie's going to get into all of that right now and get us on the right track. Stephanie, let's talk about debt service coverage ratios and what all that means.
Let's talk about it. So typically it's seen as an investor loan. And most of people who will be qualifying for this are looking at 640 scores and above, sometimes 680. Obviously, having a higher score will benefit you in terms of interest rate and the amount of down payment that you are required to put down. But it's pretty easy. That's why it's currently our hot ticket item that's kind of flying off the shelves. It's kind of that quick solution. Basically, all you really need is an appraisal and your credit score, because they're looking at the mortgage payment that you're going to have versus the rent market value that's been determined or a lease. Now, again, every lender that I'm using is going to have slightly different, requirements and everything. But it seems pretty easy because you're not requiring your income, you're not requiring your returns or anything like that. It's just, yeah.
Time out. Hold on. So you're saying you don't need income with this DSCR program, right?
No income required.
No income required, not even on the application. I don't have to be working. Of course, I should be working, but I could fill out the application. And how much do I need down, though? That's the question.
So typically, you're going to find at least 20% down.
Okay.
Now, there's going to be some scenarios, right? Like if you don't own another home already, maybe you're going to need to do 25% down.
Okay.
If your score is less than 680, you might need to do 30% down. If, the loan amount isn't 175,000 at least, it's, so you're going to have different variables, and that's just the name of the game with these creative financing programs.
Okay.
But
So
Stephanie, aren't a lot of people using this too if their business is generating money, monthly monies, or their rents, they're leasing out a building or something like that, and it's generating a certain amount of money per month. I mean, this is kind of popular amongst them too, right?
Oh yeah, it's just the quickest one to do at the moment. So that's why I said it's that hot ticket item that gets you in there, and it's not that many like jumps. What is it? Hoops to jump through. It's just it's really flying off the shelves like that one.
so is that
So is this compared to like the hard money, no income loan? How does that compare with that program?
So a hard money loan is kind of like, it's got such a high interest rate and just like the fees attached to it. You don't want to carry that one too long.
right?
The DSCR, you can carry that one. That one's like a 30-year fixed. That's, the hard money, you don't really want to carry that one that long. You want to, kind of refinance out of it once you've, done your moves. But the DSCR, you can carry that one for a while, or, like what Neil was talking about, once rates come down, refinance out of it. But it's a really good one.
So with the DSCR programs, what are the normal rates out there? Because obviously you're giving me no income. I don't have to have, justifiable income is really what it is. But at the end of the day, or these bank statement programs, right? So if I'm depositing a lot of money into the bank, but I haven't done any or I haven't filed that amount in taxes, I qualify? That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's really that the house is going to qualify, or the property or building,
Right.
whichever one, right?
Okay.
So that has to qualify.
So, and who helps me with that when I apply for it? How do I know if the house is going to qualify?
So, me as the loan officer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my, do my homework. Typically, maybe I'll check on, those like Zillows and, Realtor.com and just check to see if they have already given me a rent market value estimate, because a lot of them already do once you've listed the property. If
Right.
it's not there, I'm going to look at the comparable rentals around that property and kind of be like, okay, this is my estimate, and that's why you need an expert too in the field. So, one of the things that I know for a fact is that yes, rents are ridiculously high at this
Yeah, they
moment.
are. It's crazy.
The most that I've seen though is currently like $4,000. So if when we're talking about a property and I'm like, your mortgage is going to be, including interest rate and everything, it's going to be $4,000, and I'm like, you may not want to, yeah,
I see. So if the rent is going to cover the mortgage payment, then it makes sense for the lender to do the loan. That's
Exactly.
really what it comes down to. So
Correct.
so the appraiser, Tanya, is going to be a major component to it.
or if there's an existing lease already.
Ah.
If it's an existing lease, you can use that information on it. So you know how times you get a property and there's already a tenant in there. They want to keep that relationship going for the next 2 to 3 years, or it's a 5-year tenant or a 10-year tenant. They can use those numbers as well, Neil. This is why these programs are so effective for people looking to buy multifamily homes, investment properties, secondary properties, because they can get into them and start generating funds immediately, right? That are covering their mortgages. And hey, it's creating generational wealth. And that's what this is all about. These programs are allowing us to really tap into, even though the interest rates may be a little bit higher, you're already generating funds.
No, listen, again, here, this is why we want to bring this sort of value to people that are out there listening to us, Stephanie, because these are questions that people have all the time, and they just don't know where to go to get the real, and that somebody is going to deal with them at a high level of integrity and really help them get over that. They just hear about these real estate. It's out there. It's what we can do. One of the things that I wanted to also ask you about is, I also hear that there are these fix and flip loans, right? Everybody wants to do a fix and flip. What is the fix and flip loans about?
Essentially, that's like the hard money deal.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
you're gonna look for a hard money program to do a fix and flip, and I think that Instagram has, or like the social media is the one that kind of gives those names. Yeah, it's essentially hard money programs. They're basically gonna do a scenario. They're gonna base it off the scenario. It's private money financing, so it's really gonna be, what that specific financing agency is gonna determine as like, okay, this is what we're going to offer you for the rate. This is what we're going to offer you for the down payment. Exactly.
And
it's so good.
No, it is. Listen, the objective, Tanya, is that we just want to make sure that those that are listening have the ability to come to us. They can call me or Tanya or you now and actually be able to get this sort of information. And that's really what the whole show is about, is really building that relationship and adding that value to our community here in Orlando, that we can, actually give them that real assistance. So one other thing that I wanted a couple other things. So what is DSCR compared to, like, back in the old days in 06, 07, we used to call it non-conforming loans. Is it similar to that?
Yes, it is one of the non-conforming loans. Like bank statement is as well.
Okay.
We have 1099. We have I-10. P&L, you can use your P&Ls. So all of those are non-conforming loans, or in our world we call non-QM, non-qualified mortgage.
So,
not non-QM. And a lot of people don't know that, Stephanie. What's beautiful about Empire Financial is the fact you don't have to go to a whole lot of different companies and start drilling them on the product, guys. The one thing listeners need to understand is it's hard to find a lender that does everything. You're over here looking for someone who's doing manufactured homes and mobile homes. You're over here looking for someone who's doing bank statement loans, and over here looking for someone who specializes in PA loans. When you can find partnerships and relationships, and again, we just have great relationships with people. We don't have, folks that we say, hey, use our people and that's it. We just give the information to you for people that we've worked with, or we understand their business model, and it works, because the more products that a mortgage company has and the more competitive they are, it's easy for our buyers. It's easy for them.
No, listen, honey, it's about finding the money, Stephanie. So we're glad that you're here with us, and
I got your money.
finding the money is the hardest part in the real estate transaction, and then holding you guys accountable too. We want to close on time. It's a major
Speaking
piece.
of that, we'll be right back.
Yeah, that's the next first thing that I want to talk about is you lenders closing on time.
Oh, come on. I'm not the lender. I'm the loan officer.
Oh,
And this
we
is
know.
when I think I say this all the time. I'm like, if I had the money, I'd give it to you right now.
Exactly.
See, Tanya, listen, but the hard reality is you know, us as agents, we want to make sure that we get. That's when we get paid. Well, we all get paid at the time of closing, but at the, you know, people just really want to know because they're a nervous wreck out there, especially the buyers and sellers. You know, they're nervous. So
yeah, and I think the big part of it is that, like, setting those expectations up front. You know me, I'm big on that.
Oh, I know.
I tell you what it is. I'm like, hey, look, it could be like this, that. These are the, you know, this is what we're working with. And
right up front. No. This is why we work well together. You know, Stephanie, she'll tell you really the hard reality.
Yeah, you can't control all the variables that are out there. I mean, one individual cannot control anything. I mean, you could talk about specifics all day long. A verbiage in one letter, one income verification letter is not going to fly with another lender. There's standards, but come on.
Yeah, I think one of the things that really gets people the most as like the consumer is like those bait and switch type of closers. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that to you.
No, we know. You're going to get the hard reality right up front. Here it is. Can you do it?
Mm-hmm.
Or that she'll shop around for you, too. That's the real key with Stephanie, too. So she won't let a deal go away.
Yep. Tanya, with the DSCR, actually, like it's becoming a solution for a lot of even like just regular Joes, not just for like inversion, like investors and stuff like that. It's just really become like a like problem solver deal. Yeah.
Do they have these though for primary residence?
I mean, you got bridge loans. You have so many products that can help people transition if they have to sell another home. Their contingency. You have this. You know.
Yeah.
There's so many options.
We got
people
construction to perm.
They're like, what is that? I don't know what a bridge loan is. So that's what I love about us, Neil and I. I mean, not only are we boots on the ground, but we research. We know what's hot. We know what people are hot. We know what the market is doing. And when people come to us, I only have this, I only have that. And then we say, we have a product for you.
Yeah.
All right.
Or the person for you.
This is the last segment, folks. At the end of the show, I will give you 1 minute of music so that you know you need to wrap up, throw out all your information. And, of course, if you have anything to promote for next week, okay, that's fine. If you have any buyers and sellers, that kind of stuff, you should probably toss that out there as well. All right, everybody. Okay, stand by. Making noise. Welcome back. It's What's Your Next Move on News Radio WFLA Orlando. Tuesday night, 6 o'clock until 7. We'll help you out with real estate, mortgages, titles, man, all kinds of stuff. Legal attorneys for real estate. Right now, let's go to the studios. We have our guest, Stephanie Martinez, and of course, host Neil Lavelle and Tanya Rivers.
Hello, welcome back. Neil, take it away.
So one of the things that I wanted to really drive in on is stated income programs. That's a real program that exists. Stated income. I can just state my income, and what credit score do I need to be at, Steph?
So we're calling those like no doc or alternative income products.
Oh, that's the new name.
Yeah.
All right, I got you.
Typically you're looking at like a 680 and above.
Okay.
You're not going to be able to, skate by on a 500 or a 580 on these. You definitely want above 680 for credit score. Definitely want to have at least, 20% down to play with.
So if I don't have 20% down, I have 680 credit, can I do one of these DSCR loans?
Yes.
But
it's gonna be no, you're gonna have reduced options of lenders to do it with.
Okay, when you say reduce, right? But so in other words, is there a 90%, is a 10% down program, DSCR program out there?
Yes, there is. Now, so here's the thing is, right, I know that a lot of our listeners probably are like, well, the rate, well, the down payment. So, you know, remember, like, it can either be easy, cheap, or, like, good, So, like, you got to pick one. Well, now by reducing your options of lenders, now you may be stuck with only one interest rate in terms of, like, instead of having a good one that you wanted, like, super low. You asked me that. Right. And typically DSCRs, you may be able to find one that's like an 8% rate. But let's say now you can only go to like a 90%, LTV, and you find the one lender, you might not have that same, privilege of finding a lower rate essentially. So you want to be able to have that 20% down and really have the options to shop for the best rate for you.
So in other words, there's several lenders or end investors that are buying these notes or buying these loans that will give you a more competitive rate. So they're shopping against it.
Right.
Okay, so I got $1 million question. What is the interest rate today, and are rates going down?
Okay, so today's interest rate, let's say a perfect, beautiful 780 credit.
It doesn't exist, though.
Oh my God, I get them all the time.
All right, no problem. All right. See, Tanya, it does exist.
It does
It does
exist.
exist. It does exist.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
Probably they're, if just in a normal conventional kind of program, they'll be landing anywhere between 6.5%, 6.75 between there.
Okay.
And are they going down? Yes. So it's forecasted within like the next year and a half, right? The Fed hit us, right? They smacked our hands over and over by
Yep.
increasing the rate, right? So hopefully, right, they're going to stop doing that. Hopefully they're satisfied with what it's done with the economy and inflation. And within the next year and a half, it's going to start ticking back down. And so, I've been telling everyone, like, just buy now because you're going to be in that property and then be able to do as you please once the rates come down between 4 and 5% over the next 2 years, right? They're going to tick down back slowly. And then you'll be able to refinance, tap into your equity. If you wanted to pull cash out, do that then. And you'll be in a good
Right,
spot.
because Stephanie, what's going to happen is everybody's going to try to buy a house when the rates go down, and then they're going to be back to, I can't buy a house because
No inventory.
everybody,
No inventory.
I'm
There
getting
we go
outbid. I'm making an offer, and then you're back to where you were in 2022. So
Correct.
I completely concur with you, Stephanie. My question is about these Gen Z, right? So we have our Gen Z era. Neil and I talk about this all the time. Rent rates and things like that. Our college students, there's programs out there. Are you aware of those programs as well, where we can use, their college, their graduation, and all of that to be able to get into a home instead of renting an expensive apartment? What are your thoughts about that?
Oh, yeah. College transcripts, 2 years of full-time, what is that? Studying and being enrolled. I'm sorry. Yes. 2 years enrollment, full-time, college transcripts. We can do it. And all you need is your job offer.
And see, all it takes is a job offer, Neil, to change the trajectory of the mindset of owning versus renting. Because look, our Gen Zs want to know, how can I use my cryptocurrency, right, to buy real estate? Of course, they want to know.
They're
They
out
want to buy
there.
the real estate, and you tell them, hey, you could do the wallet-to-wallet transfers and transactions and leverage BitPay, crypto, and all that good stuff. But the truth of the matter is, the Gen Z folks are all over it, right? So, Stephanie, what is your thought about buying properties with crypto? Is it a slower way to do it than doing the wallet-to-wallet? Or what's all the hype about crypto and buying a house?
So it's actually, that's kind of like a niche. Now that's even more of a niche within a niche of non-QM.
Right.
Yeah. So you're looking at non-QM or the non-conforming, right? Deals for
Okay.
that as well. So if they have sufficient enough to do like the 20% down and everything in their cryptos, well, they, can look into, and again, it's going to be a handful of lenders. I'm not going to, promise that, oh, yeah, you're going to get like
right.
best rate ever. But, if that's what you have and that's kind of makes sense for you and it feels like the right move to make to use that, then we can find the lender that's going to, do the deal for you using your cryptocurrency.
That's
But
crazy.
Stephanie, what people don't realize is the market, crypto is part of the market. So the
Yeah.
market can change month to month, week to week. So the value of your crypto is going to change. So, we talk about the value of the dollar and the value of this. Hey, it's the same thing about trading, right? You got to watch the market because your dollars are going to change. So, I think it's a little risky, but hey, Gen Z is all about it. So you just never know. We have to be creative. We have to be out there with other options for them. So I love it that you there at Empire Financial are aware of all these different programs, and definitely want to let the listeners know how they can reach you.
How can they reach you, Steph?
We can talk. Text me, call me, 305-988-8876, or even find me on Instagram, Stephanie Martinez with 5 Z's at the end.
There you go. Listen, guys, if you're out there and you need some creative financial help and you want to buy a home, because the time is now, Tanya, again, listen, the market's good.
Yep.
If the rates come down in the first quarter of next year, then prices are going to go crazy. That's just what I'm anticipating. But now listen, I have something else out there for you guys. If you're out there and you really want to rent your home, please give me a call. No matter what the shape or situation is with your home, give me a call at 407-466-1529. Again, 407-466-1529. I got a great rental product for you if you want to rent your home. And I also have a foreclosure coming up, Tanya, and this one's going to hit the market this week, and it's 776 East Michigan Street. It's going to be at $160,000, but it needs some work, needs some love in there. It definitely needs some love, but it's a hot property. So you guys call me on the rental, if you got a house that you need to rent, because the market is slowing down out there for that. But I've got a group that is really looking to rent your homes. So please reach out to me. Again, 407-466-1529. Or if you're interested in a foreclosure, I have a few in my pocket. Call me, 407-466-1529. So, Tanya, let them know that they can find you if they're looking to relocate, right?
Absolutely, they can do that. And then they can use Stephanie's money programs to help them remodel that foreclosure. See how
There
we do
you
it here
go.
on What's Your Next Move Live.
Amen.
Hey, Stephanie, I want to talk to you real quick. Let's do this. Neil's got some properties up. We're talking about new construction as well. So we're finding, are your products comparable, competitive with the new construction that's out there? Those lenders are offering a ton of incentives. Let's talk about what's happening in your world versus the new construction world.
Yeah. So basically, one of the things that I can do is pair you with one of those down payment assistance programs. And it'll, maybe we can kind of match what their concessions are.
Well, there it is, guys. So listen, all you guys got to do is reach out to Stephanie. Tell us quickly, Stephanie, how they can get a hold of you.
Call me 305-988-8876.
Or at Neil Lavelle, 407-466-1529. And Tanya Rivers at?
Absolutely. You can reach us at what'syournextmove.live.
So don't forget, guys, if you're looking to get your next move done, and it's real estate, whether it's buying or selling, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We got you.
Yep, and if you have any questions, go ahead to the website. Again, that is what'syournextmove.live. And ask those questions there, and we'll be sure to address it. Tuesday night, 6 p.m., we'll be back again. It's What's Your Next Move on News Radio WFLA Orlando. Say bye.
See you guys. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, that'll do it.
That was really awesome.
Yeah, it was. All right, let's
Two
tie
great hosts today, Tanya.
A lot of good info.
A lot of good info.
Lots of
Stephanie, that
good
was
info.
We
great.
could talk forever about this.
Seems
Lord.
that way, yeah.
Yeah, I always tell people, I can literally have an entire dissertation on every single, if this, then that.
Yep. No, it's so true.